BLM, Antifa, and the founders of BLM and Antifa want a shooting war in the United States of America. These subversive groups are actively destroying this nation from within, just as KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov warned would happen.
Ideological subversion is psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
Yet, it's Nancy Pelosi calling Republicans domestic enemies of the state. Seriously.
The domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States.
It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. The next stage is destabilization, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely.
We recognize there are people with many different views gathered here today. All groups should practice self-monitoring and remain peaceful.
But it's not just in Portland, Seattle, Chicago, and New York City where the violence of these radicalized groups is devastating cities, businesses, and lives, like the fifth column they are. No, we are witnessing the death of the real economy in cities and states across the nation at the hand of the COVID storyline, domestic terror, and Democrat control and policies. Even Joe Rogan thinks so.
The lockdown still exists, right? The homelessness is completely out of control. And the solution they've come up with in California is to jack up taxes. So the most recent solution was to jack up taxes to 54%. I'm like, you guys are out of your fucking mind. Retroactively, back to January.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a proposal. It's crazy. It's not going to fix it. They're bankrupt. This state is bankrupt because they're incompetent. They're not going to become competent if you give them more money. You know, it's just they've managed the money that they got very poorly. They already have high taxes. There's a 13.5% state income tax here in California. And the place is still fucked up.
So what will stop it? The election of Joe Biden to president? He has sworn to make the wearing of masks mandatory across the country if he's elected and sworn in January.
So you would, in effect, mandate the wearing of masks?
I would do everything on my possible to make it required that people had to wear masks in public.
These people want this to go on for many months to come, if not years. As Tom Luongo from the Gold, Goats, and Guns blog writes, everything that's been unleashed upon us in 2020 is a direct result of this mad scramble to claw back the power of the White House by any means necessary. He writes, I've been quite clear that the Democrats have used COVID-19 as an excuse to destroy the U.S. economy and blame it on President Trump. We are 6 months into this planned destruction of all facets of U.S. society, and most of the West, for that matter, for the purpose of instituting police state-like controls over our everyday lives, undermining the idea of personal rights in a climate of hysterical fear. And amidst all of this Democrat, BLM, Antifa destruction of life and liberty as we once enjoyed it, who are the mainstream globalist-controlled puppets Bill Maher, John Oliver, and Trevor Noah targeting as a dangerous extremist group? BLM? Antifa? George Soros' Open Society? The devil himself? No. Q.
QAnon. The biggest thing on the internet since that time Kim Kardashian's butt was thirsty.
Michael Flynn was the national security advisor of this country. And here he is taking the QAnon oath.
Where we go one, we go all.
And if you are lucky enough not to know what QAnon is and you're thinking, let me Google that, please don't.
So how did this insane theory take off? Well, partly, it latched onto fears about the real phenomenon of human trafficking. Partly, it fed off ancient anti-Semitic tropes about elitists who drink the blood of children, but mostly, it was just the good old internet.
Why are they paying so much attention to what critics of Q call a LARP? Executive order, blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption, December 21st, 2017. Executive order on combating human trafficking and online child exploitation in the United States, January 31st, 2020, by Donald J. Trump. If Q is a LARP, why the fear?
The scary thing about QAnon is what happened when it jumped from the screen to the streets.
This is not just a bunch of online crazy talk. It's dangerous in real life.
They despise and loathe Q because Q writes, "Your voice and your vote matters. Patriots stand united. Welcome to the revolution. Friends, know thy enemy, because they know you." Thanks for watching, and for real news 24/7, visit us directly at sgtreport.com, the antidote to corporate propaganda 24/7. God bless. Bye-bye.
I think most of these rules, these signs that you're seeing everywhere, are just to scare people into submission.